So we'll discuss a very relevant topic about the mind. Manage your mind, mind management. So I will need all of you to be attentive. So if you're feeling drowsy, you can stand. When I am attending a class and if I feel sleepy, I stand up and listen. So there is no embarrassment. It's just that it will be easy for us to grasp. Okay, so we'll start now. I want to thank all of you for coming. Hare Krishna. This is a topic which is very close to my heart because I have also, like all of you, struggled a lot with my own mind. But thanks to some practices which have helped me a lot, so I'll share them with you. And they can help you also. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यम् ईश्वरम् नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So I welcome all of you to this session on manage your mind or mind management or mind your mind. So I wrote a book called Mind Your Mind, and I've also written a book called Are You Connected? And also another book called Cricket in a Monastery, and one book called Journey of Self-Discovery. Why I'm saying this is because there is a website called yogaformodernage.com where I put all these articles connected to these books. .com, yeah. So you will find a lot of more than 1,000 articles there. And also there is a YouTube channel, Vraja Bihari Das. So all my lectures are also there. If it can help you, if I can serve you through those, I'll consider myself grateful. So you can visit those that website and the YouTube channel and find articles and lectures regarding mind, because we'll have only 1.5 to 2 hours here. But if you want to know more, you can discuss. You can find a lot of material resources there. So today I will share one concept with you for a few minutes, and then we'll open it up for discussions and questions. There are many ways of understanding this subject. There is no one absolute way. So I will just share some concepts and I will need you to be very attentive. And then let's see how you like it and what you want to discuss more on this. So mind. So I'm not going to get into the technical aspects, but we all know that there is somebody inside us who is constantly talking. Right? So to simplify, what I have done is, all the thoughts, desires, feelings, analysis, planning, judgment, All the voices that go on within, I have simplified it by giving it one word called mind. Okay. And to simplify it even more, I often give it the position of a person, not some abstract concept. So there is a person inside called mind, Mr. Mind, or I call mind as Chanchal, a feminine gender. So a woman can give a male name for it. Basically, it is a spouse or a partner or a companion you cannot divorce. He's here to stay and he's abusive. Constantly is, if you are abused by your spouse, you can go to a police station. You can call helpline. But which police station can you go and say, my mind is harassing me? Nobody, right? So this mind is for real and you cannot separate yourself from the mind as long as you're alive in this body, in this world. So we have to learn ways to live with the mind. So that is all, that book is all about that. So I have discussed 3 principles in detail, which I'm going to share now here with you. And then I want you to share your thoughts and we have questions and answers, discussions on that. So there are 3 principles which can help us live peacefully with our mind. So imagine a triangle, okay? So each side of this triangle, there is this one principle. And inside the triangle is a beautiful flame, light, which is burning. And that is what keeps all the 3 principles alive. And that flame which keeps it burning, which is the most important principle, which is humility or self-effacing. Self-effacing means I am not the most important person in this world. Our biggest problem we have with our mind is because we think I am the center of the universe. I am the most important. But if we have this flame burning in our heart that I am simply insignificant, I am not somebody very, very important. I am ordinary, humble, just being humble, self-effacing. Effacing matlab erase, mit jana. Self-effacing means something which you get wiped off. Your identity is not as important as the overall cosmos, universe, God, divinity. So if we have this consciousness, if we cultivate, then the 3 principles we can practice and you will find amazing peace in your life. Despite your mind constantly. All of you have problems with the mind talking? If somebody says, no, I have no problem with my mind, then I offer my respectful pranam to you. Either you are a pure devotee of Krishna or you need to see a psychiatrist. Because mind has to trouble us, as long as we're alive in this world, as long as we are active. So there is nothing to get depressed about. So let us go into the 3 principles. But I'll repeat once again. Before we understand the 3 principles, we have to remember this most important principle that I am simple, insignificant, ordinary. If I were to die, when I say I, you don't have to think Vraja Bihari Das is going to die. You think about yourself, put I. If I were to die now, will it make any difference to the world? Do you think Bollywood will stop producing movies? Do you think India will stop playing cricket matches? Parties will go on, everything will go on as if nothing has happened. So why are we giving so much importance to what's happening here? When we mean nothing to anybody. This is not to make you depressed. The soul is a beautiful part of Lord. We will discuss that also. Self-love is very important. We'll discuss that also. But in general, we are nobody. Right? And the biggest cheating that's happening in the world is the promotion of how I is the most important. And from childhood, we are trained to believe that I am somebody very special. When the child is born in the cradle, all relatives come and they cuddle the child, Oh, so cute. Look at the nose, just like the mother. Look at the cheeks. He's got features like the father. So everybody is surrounding the child, giving love. The child starts thinking, wow, I'm really important. That's how our self-obsession begins. Again, I'll repeat, self-love is not bad. We'll discuss self-love is very important. But essentially, I'm nobody. So then if I'm nobody, then my problems are also nothing. Okay? So self-effacing means allowing our identity to dissolve. And you'll be amazed by the peace you experience there. I'll give just one or two examples to make this concept. This is abstract. I think for some of you this is sounding very abstract. I'll just give two examples and then we will go into the 3 principles of mind management. First, once I was traveling to down under Perth, Australia. So what happened one day before, I go to this park. We have a garden near our temple, hanging garden. So I like to spend a lot of time in the park. I sit under the tree. So one day I was sitting and I was looking at the sky. The birds were flying to their nests. It was getting dark. And I just kept looking at the sky and I was just trying to be present. Just be present. And after some time, I saw a plane and it became dark. The plane was going and flying with its yellow, blue lights. And then finally it was kind of swallowed by the heavens. I couldn't see it anymore. So as I was looking at that plane, I realized that plane looked so insignificant in the vast sky. Huge sky. And that plane seemed nothing. And I just kept looking at the plane till it disappeared from my vision. I felt it is nothing, a huge sky. And the plane is nothing, absolutely nothing there. And the stars I saw, and I was just trying to be present. I entered that space of that star. As I looked at that star, I got the realization that star actually may not be there because the light travels, at a certain speed, and that star could be thousands of light years away, which means I'm seeing the star now, but that star may not be in that position right now. So the huge cosmos, huge universe, even a star is insignificant. But then this all happened and I went back to my ashram and I took rest, and next day I went to Perth. So as our plane was descending and I saw huge land space there, a lot of fields, grounds, houses. And then suddenly I realized, now I was in the plane. And the garden there down appeared so insignificant. Those houses appeared so insignificant compared to the huge space of earth. So when I'm in earth and when I look at an object in the sky, that object appears completely irrelevant compared to the huge sky. And when I'm in the sky, that object in earth appears insignificant compared to this earth. But our problem is, I always think I'm the center of the universe. So we need to see ourselves separate from where we are. And then we see how insignificant we are. And that was an amazing realization, but more was to come. It was a surreal experience for me. I realized, wow, I am nobody. I was nobody yesterday when I was sitting in the park and looking at the plane, and today I'm in that plane and the park is nothing. So I am nobody. But suddenly, I felt a sense of peace in that realization that I am insignificant. It was not depressing. It is actually depressing when I think I am controller, I am the center of the universe and I'll get what I want when I want. And then what happened, the Lord is so kind. He arranged a beautiful experience for me. And I landed, we went to one devotee's house. I was staying at his place and he gave me a room to stay with a huge window. And I slept, and from my bed I could see outside the window. It was night. I could see stars, the sky. I was just looking at the sky and suddenly I realized, these are the stars. I was with them last night. Just 24 hours before I was with them. So I was in Mumbai. These were the same stars. Now I'm in Perth, which is 7,000 miles away from Mumbai. They are the same stars. That means I am nobody, yet I felt a sense of belongingness with the universe. We are nobody. We are insignificant, yet we belong to this world. And that gives us peace. Have you seen a child with the mother in the train, the crowded train or buses in Mumbai? The child is peacefully sleeping in the arms, and the mother may be in anxiety. Why? Because the child has found shelter, a sense of belonging. He is at peace. But when I am in control, when I'm trying to control, I have to organize my things, then I'm always in stress. So therefore, this self-effacing is very important. I am nobody and I belong to this universe. This paradox of being insignificant, at the same time belonging to the Lord, that is the mantra for peace. Is this clear? No. Okay, we will do some experiments, then I think it will become more clear. So this is the foundation, that humility or self-effacing or being nobody. And no self-help guru or motivational speaker will teach you this. But it is unfortunate. Actually, we are insignificant. And once we come to terms with it, we'll become very happy. And that is the first principle. First principle is the principle of awareness and acceptance. Awareness means to know what is happening right now. What is happening right now inside you? So if you just keep asking, what is happening right now? What is happening right now? You'll see your awareness improves. And then if you say, it's okay. This is what I'm feeling now. This is okay. Then you are practicing acceptance. And there is the more awareness and more acceptance you have, the more you will be able to separate yourself from your mind. And then you'll be able to see the mind as somebody different from you. Just like I see this glass is different from me. I am different. You are different from me, right? I am different from you. We are separate. We are sitting separately. Imagine you can see your mind like that. Oh, mind, you are saying this. Thank you. What a victory that would be if you could see your mind as separate from you. Right now, our identity is merged with the mind so much that when the mind speaks, we think it is me. Right? So, awareness and acceptance practices. If we have, there are many practices. I'm sure you also may be having your own practices. But awareness and acceptance, being aware of what is happening right now and accepting it without judging yourself. This is the first principle of mind management. Any genuine guru who is teaching mind management will tell you about this principle. Awareness is the first and most important principle. Second is appreciation and gratitude. Because this is what keeps us positive. And third is aspiration to serve. So if our life is centered on these three principles, awareness and acceptance is the first. Second, appreciation and gratitude. And third, aspiration, a desire to serve. Accept the now. You may not be happy with the situation.
Yes, I'm not happy. I feel like crying.
Yeah. I'm very sad right now and I accept I am sad. I accept I am sad. Acceptance is not the same as being happy with that situation. Like for example, let us say somebody spoke very harshly to you and you felt very hurt. So awareness means, you are like uncomfortable. Sometimes you feel, you don't know what is happening to you, you're uncomfortable. For that time you pause and you first practice awareness and acceptance. What is happening right now? I'm feeling very hurt. Okay, this is awareness. I'm feeling hurt. Oh, he spoke like that to me. It was very painful. I'm feeling very hurt. I'm not happy about it, but I accept that I'm feeling hurt. It's okay to be hurt. It's okay. It's okay. I accept I am hurt. This is very important. See, it's a very subtle difference. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that you should think it's good to be hurt. No, it's not good to be hurt. It is just that you are accepting you are hurt. There's a difference because most people live in denial. They say, no, there is no problem. Have you seen people being very positive? Positive thinkers are always saying, I'm good. Nobody can hurt me. I'm strong. And even when they're hurt, they present themselves as very strong. So that is denial. When you're hurt, and you don't have to tell the whole world, you tell yourself, I'm hurt and I accept that I'm hurt. You see, 50% of the problems will go away. It gets resolved because you're accepting. Most of us suffer because we're in denial. Denial means, nahi, sab kuch theek hai. You see people when they meet each other, how are you? I'm very happy. Life is cool. How are you? Good, great. Sometimes, I try to practice acceptance consciously. So sometimes when I'm not in the best mood and somebody tells me, hey, Prabhu, can you do this something? I said, no, today I'm a little busy. Okay. Are you okay? I immediately tell them, if I'm not okay, I tell them, no, I'm not okay today. What do you mean? I'm sad. You're sad. You can't be sad. No, I am sad, but I'm okay. I'll be all right. Our problem is our society has brainwashed us to think that if you are not happy, there is something wrong with you. You are not happy, it's okay. Every day you cannot be happy. Every moment you can't be happy. But when the whole propaganda is you have to be happy, cheerful, then you live in denial. And that denial is the worst kind of lie because that is the lie you speak to yourself. I know people who have been abused and they say, no, everything. See, they just need to go through some counseling. They need to release all of that. They need to go through healing. But they've never accepted that they went through that internally. Because of that non-acceptance, it becomes toxic. The positive thinking can be poisonous. It's called toxic positivity. You can later on search on the internet. You'll find a lot of stuff. Toxic positivity, always being positive. See, first we have to release the negativity also, at least simultaneously. So again, coming back to your point. So whatever your situation is, accepting it without judging yourself, that is the meaning of practicing awareness and acceptance. See, one of the biggest myths that has been propagated in modern times, because of which most of us are not able to practice awareness and acceptance, is we are brainwashed to believe that we should be happy all the time, and if you're not happy, there is something wrong with you. I tell people I'm not happy today, but I'm okay. I'm nothing wrong with me. I'll be all right. I'm all right, but I'm not happy. Why I should be happy all the time? Because happiness is one of the emotions you experience. Just like it is a little cold now, January, February. Now after some time it will be very hot. Then there will be rainy season. You can't expect only one season all the time. Right? You go through different seasons, different times of the day. Similarly, we go through different moods, different feelings. Life is a complete package of all emotions. Why are we attached to only one emotion? Isn't it? Life gives us all kinds of... Okay, some of you are mothers here. Okay. Now, I'll ask you a question. Do you love your child? Yes, right? All of you will say yes. Every mother will say, I love my child. Now I ask you a provocative question. Does your child only make you happy all the time? Okay, what are the different emotions you get because of your child? Anger? Of course. Every mother will say, I get angry. What else? What are the other feelings you get because of your child? Agitated, irritated, angry, frustrated. Whatever the reason, but we go through all emotions, right? Sometimes you are sad also because of our child. But that doesn't mean you don't love your child. So the point I'm making is, life is composed of a whole package of a lot of emotions. And our unwillingness to accept the complete package called life makes us live in perpetual state of denial and struggle. Just accept. And then see the peace you experience. Because it is the first step. Again, I'm repeating. Acceptance does not mean that you are not going to change your situation and you have resigned yourself to your karma. No, not like that. Acceptance means not living in denial. Like I had a friend in college. He used to smoke 30 cigarettes a day. And I would always tell him, why don't you give it up? He would always say, I can give it up anytime I want. I'm not addicted. I can give it up. But I just don't want to give up now, I knew this is a classic case of denial. He is in denial that he's addicted. He just needs to accept I'm addicted and then the healing will start. When you don't accept you're addicted, then how can you get cured of a problem? So if you're going through emotional trauma, if you accept it, then there will be some healing will happen. The same hall, last time I came here, we had a workshop by Radharani Mataji, one of our senior counselors in our temple. She gave a presentation here and all the counselors, all the senior leaders of our community were sitting. And she made an amazing presentation. She said, women, compared to men, women have higher depression rates. But when it comes to suicide, men have a higher rate of suicide than women. But then she was explaining the paradox. She was saying women, they may just, they may just blurt it out, they may vent it out, they may release it, they may share it with someone, they may cry and they may somehow survive. But men, they try to present themselves as very stoic and very tough. And inside, they may be seething with a lot of frustration and unable to accept their situation, they may actually end up ending their life. So this is the analysis she was offering. That's why our scriptures, those of you who are well acquainted, I think most of you I see are devotees practicing Krishna consciousness, right? Our main scripture is Bhagavad-Gita. It begins with Arjuna accepting his fragile situation and vulnerability. He cries. Kshatriya doesn't cry. Men generally, there are two biggest misconceptions in this world. That men don't cry and women can't manage. These are the biggest myths. Men do cry. And Arjuna, of all the greatest warrior, Kshatriyas, they're not supposed to cry. When you're a warrior, especially on the battlefield, you're not supposed to cry. It's like, if you cry, what the enemy will think. It's like, in a boxing match. If a boxer hits you, and you get hurt here, and you will not win. Because if you win, then that fellow will know that you are hurt here and he will hit you more there. So that's why it is said that you are not supposed to cry. So what happens because of this? You don't want to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is a big strength if you are vulnerable to the right person. But vulnerability is a strength. So this myth that has been propagated that we have to be happy all the time. If you're not happy, there is something wrong with you. We have to burst the bubble. Awareness and acceptance means to come to peace, to come to terms with who we are. Happiness till 100 years ago was considered as if you read any of the books of the 19th century and early 20th century, you will see there is a foundational difference in the understanding of the word happiness. Only in the last 50, 70 years, happiness is being promoted as our birthright. And I want to have it. I want to be happy. When I want to be happy, I want to be happy. Material, spiritual. Yes. Happy. I want to be happy. This has become like the biggest, it's like everybody's talking about it. All advertisements are that. You buy this toothpaste, you'll be happy. Everything. You're always supposed to be smiling and happy. But till 100 years ago, happiness was considered as something which was a gift that was given to you by God or nature, and it happened sometimes. And people were encouraged to, and people not encouraged, they generally lived their life centered on some purpose. Somebody had a purpose of the family, somebody had a purpose of the nation, whatever, some purpose higher than yourself. And while living for that purpose, different emotions come in our lives, and one of them is happiness. But life is meant for something higher than the self, something more than me. That is life meant for. And when I live my life for that purpose, then I will get all emotions. Like a mother, coming back to the example of the mother. Mother has a purpose more than herself. And that is why she gets everything in life. She gets a whole package of emotions in life. Right? So that's how happiness was considered till 100 years ago. But now, because happiness is promoted as something which has to be experienced when you want, always, so we live in denial. And when we live in denial, our awareness is gone, our acceptance is gone. And therefore, we are never peaceful. We are always struggling, karshati. So it's very unhealthy. So this is the first principle, awareness and acceptance. Is that okay, Mataji? Okay. The second is appreciation and gratitude. Now, this is a very, very important principle because awareness and acceptance can make you very discouraged. Because if the more awareness you practice, the more you will realize that this world is a place of suffering. I mean, there is no point, cheating. Let us accept this world is a nasty place. And it is not in a bad sense we are saying. That's a law. There's a law of gravity. If you throw something up, it comes down. Why it comes down? That's a law of gravity. Similarly, in this world, you have to go through old age, disease, suffering. Whatever you controlled will be taken away from you, right? I mean, that's the law. So awareness and acceptance is needed, but it can get very depressing because you will see all the people and things you're attached to will be taken away from you sooner or later. So therefore, the second principle balances appreciation and gratitude. You know what the most successful people considered to be most successful, spiritually evolved people? Those who are very grateful and always appreciative, especially at the time of death, when everything is taken away from them. Death is when everything is taken away, right? Your body, the people you love. And at that time, they are very appreciative and grateful. Now, my question is, if we are not grateful and appreciative when we are getting things, how will we be appreciative and grateful when it is taken away from us? Right now, you can sit in the class, you can listen, you can walk, you have your eyes, you have a healthy body. And if you can't practice gratitude now, how can you practice gratitude when one by one everything will be taken away? So gratitude and appreciation has to be there. If it is not there, then we just can't be happy. We just can't be peaceful. We just can't survive in this world. We'll go crazy. Because everything and everyone, everything is designed in such a way in this world to give us pain and suffering eventually. This body, if your body is very healthy right now, but if you get some thorn on your feet and just it occupies just a few centimeters space, your whole focus will be on that small piece. That time you won't be thinking that, but my digestion is good. My hands are strong. I can see. No, but why is this thought gone here? That's the way it is. Our mind focuses only on the negativity. So therefore, gratitude and appreciation is what keeps us sane in this crazy world. And eventually we have to come to a stage when we can even be grateful for all the calamities and sufferings that happen. That's what Vedic scriptures, Kunti Maharani's prayers are all about that. To be grateful even for upheavals and reversals. That's a very tall order. We're not jumping there right now. Let us first be grateful for all the good things that we are getting. But that's the second principle. And third, most important, is aspiration to serve. Now, service is natural to all of us. Just like, it is inseparable. It's an inseparable part of us. Everybody is serving. We just have to choose consciously that I'm a servant. I want to serve. I'm not an enjoyer. It's like, you have the smartphones. I also have one. So this has got, the operating system is Android. So I think some of you have iPhone. right? So it have a different operating system. Now both can two operating systems be on the same device? No, it is a interface between the user and the device, the operating system. So either it is Android or it is what? iOS. What is Mac? iOS. It can't be both. Similarly, you have to ask yourself, what is your operating system? What is my operating system? Is it, I want to serve? Is that my raison d'etre, the reason for, what is the reason for existence? Why do I exist? Why do I live? Is it, I want to give, I want to contribute? Is that my reason for existence? Or is it, what can I get? I want to enjoy. I want to enjoy. Now, don't get me wrong. Those who are always serving, they also need to enjoy. I mean, we had morning 8 o'clock, Dwadashi, somebody fed me nice samosa chaat. I relished it. I enjoyed it. So there's nothing wrong. See, a servant who is always serving may also enjoy, because that's just that may be a need of the body and mind, and it may be or sometimes it may be a temporary pain, just like when you're in pain, you need a painkiller. Painkiller is not a substitute for medicine, but painkillers are needed sometimes. So we're not against enjoyment per se, but the foundational existence. Why do I exist? And there are some people who are only always thinking about, how can I enjoy? What can I get? What can I get? I am the center. I want to enjoy. And they may also serve sometimes, but the service is also in the mood of, I want to enjoy. So when my foundational existence is, I want to serve, you will see wonders happen in your life. You will see, I'll just give a simple example. I don't know if you've seen it. When you're in the train, for example, or somewhere you let's say you offer your seat to say some pregnant lady, or you help some blind man cross the street. I'm just giving some simple examples of service where you got nothing in return, material. You just gave yourself. Have you done that ever in your life? I'm sure all of us have done. And have you experienced the kind of joy that you got was different from, it can't be measured in material terms. Even when we are reluctant and we serve, we get happiness. I'll give a simple example. When I joined the ashram 25 years ago, long time ago, my mother used to get me a bag of mangoes. Because my house, so our temple is in South Bombay. So those of you know Hare Krishna temple, Chowpatty. So we were staying at Cuff Parade. So maybe 4 or 5 kilometers from there. So every weekend she used to get me a big bag of, I joined in the month of March. So she started getting me big bag full of Alfonso ripe mangoes. And all brahmacharis were given one small locker. That's where we keep all our belongings. And I would somehow stuff these mangoes there, and I would take out, and in 2-3 days I would finish the whole mangoes. So one of the weeks when she got me that bag of mangoes, and I put it in, and I took out one to eat, and I was about to devour that mango. Suddenly I saw another colleague of mine, brahmachari ashram member, coming from the opposite direction. And when he came closer, I didn't want to, but I just said, would you like to have a mango? I just offered him. And he said, wow, mango. So mango in the ashram at that time was a luxury. So he said, but what about you? If I take this, what about you? I said, well, I have another one. And I showed him another mango. As if, I have only 2 mangoes. Actually, I had a lot of mangoes stuffed inside. So I showed him. He said, oh, good, then both of us can have. So then we sat above the locker, and he began eating. And I was about to eat my mango, and suddenly another brahmachari came. And he said, wow, there's a mango party going on. I said, would you like to have one? He said, why not? Thank you. And what about you? I said, I have another one. I opened my bag. And then suddenly another brahmachari came. Soon there were 7 or 8 of them. And then I said, chalo, abhi nikal lete, pura bag nikal. Because I was kind of forced to give. So then I removed that bag. I kept it in the center. And we were around 8 or 9 of us. And for the next maybe 10-15 minutes, we were laughing, talking, and enjoying that mango. We all ate mangoes. And it got over in 10 minutes. That mango stock, which would generally last 1 week, it was over in 10 minutes. And after that, we washed our hands and I cleaned up the place. They all went their respective services. And then I sat on my locker and I realized, wow, today the mangoes tasted the sweetest. They never tasted as sweet as today. What happened today? What was different today? Because it was not about me, it was about giving. Although there was a reluctance initially, but in the end, that experience made the mango, that experience was so sweet. Just sharing. So, even when we are reluctant and when we give, we can be so happy. Imagine when we consciously give. So then mind doesn't matter because we have a desire to serve. A desire, and that helps us, because the topic is managing the mind, right? So we can transcend the mind when we have a purpose higher than the self, when we want to serve someone higher, someone bigger than the self. Like there is this famous and true story of Hirkani Bai in the 1670s during Shivaji Maharaj's reign. She was staying in the Konkan region, and at that time the Mughals were a big threat to the Maratha Empire. So Aurangzeb was constantly trying to get Shivaji under his control. So Shivaji had passed strict rules that in all his forts, at sunset the gates would be closed and you cannot go out or come in till the next morning. So Hirkani Bai would come from the nearby village every day to the fort to sell her wares, whatever she was selling. But one day she got a little busy and she got a little lost, and by the time she rushed to the gate had closed. But the security guard told her that you have to stay inside the fort till tomorrow sunrise. She said, please make an exception. I'm just one person. Just open the door. I'll sneak out. Because my baby, she's crying. She's alone at home in the village below. I need to go back to my child. He said, sorry, these are the emperor's orders. I can't just make an exception for you. But she was determined, my child. How can I leave my child alone in the night like that? So she said, I have to get out of this fort. Now this fort was situated at the top of a mountain. And she went around all the corners. There was no way she could escape. But on one particular side, she saw that there was no gate. Because the wall was so steep that there was absolutely no way anybody would ever climb the mountain and that steep fort wall to enter the premises, enter the territory. So she climbed, she went to the top of that portion in the fort, and then she went down, warding off the bats and the occasional snake. She actually came down the fort, and then she had to go through the forest where there are leopards, and her body was bruised with thorns. She struggled. She managed to reach safely to her baby. And next day morning, she was as usual back in the fort to sell her wares in the morning. And by some coincidence, that security guard was supposed to be relieved of his duty. He had to continue in the morning duty because the person was supposed to come in the morning got delayed. So he was continuing his duty, and suddenly this lady comes from her village inside the fort. He says, hey, wait, I stopped you yesterday from going out. How come you're coming inside? She said, I went to my home, I went to my baby. But how? This is the only gate open. She said, I climbed down from the top of that particular section of the fort and I went down. He said, unbelievable. It's not possible. The great generals and commanders of Shivaji's army, even they can't climb that steep wall and the mountain. Nobody has ever dared. You are lying. There is some secret entrance from which you have gone out. She kept refusing. No, honestly, I had to go to my child, so I went down. And immediately an alarm was raised. Shivaji Maharaj came there, and this lady was held a prisoner. And then Shivaji Maharaj, he looked at her body, her cloth was torn and bruises. So he knew that there is something, maybe she's speaking the truth. So he challenged her. He said, if you say that you just went down that fort and the mountain all alone last night, can you do that again? She said, yeah, of course. I did that last night, I can do that again. So Shivaji Maharaj said, okay, take me to that spot. So everybody is watching, all the army generals have also come. So she took Shivaji Maharaj to that spot. They climbed that spot, and there she was standing. And Shivaji Maharaj said, okay, now go down. And then she saw the imposing sight below. She started shivering. She said, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. And then Shivaji Maharaj smiled. He knew that she was speaking the truth. But seeing her body, he knew that she was speaking the truth. And seeing her emotions, he knew that she's speaking the truth. And she said, I can't do it now. So last night she did it. Why? She was obsessed with a purpose higher than the self. Her desire to please her baby, her desire to serve. Imagine, these young boys, they join these terrorist groups. They become fearless. A mission of hatred can help them transcend the mind. Imagine if you have something positive, how much you can transcend mind. So this Shivaji Maharaj was so impressed by this lady that he named that bastion as Hirkani Bruj. So that is still very famous. People go, it become like a tourist spot. So if a simple woman who was not a warrior by any measure, if she could do what great army generals could not, in terms of transcending the mind and fear, can you imagine what much more we can do if we have a purpose higher than the mind? Some of the greatest leaders who have contributed positively to the society, they were personally very self-effacing. Abraham Lincoln or Gandhi, but they had a mission which was burning very intensely in their heart, which was higher than their selves. That's why they could transcend a lot of their personal challenges. So these are the three principles. What is the first principle? Awareness and acceptance. What is the second? Appreciation and gratitude. And third? Aspiration to serve. And what is the center of this triangle? Humility. Basically what it means, I am simply insignificant. Now, let us do one exercise. Awareness, I'll focus right now on awareness and acceptance. Okay? Because just imagine, if you don't know that it is your mind which is harassing you, then you can't begin the process of mind management. So first, let us see how we can develop more awareness of our mind. So any ideas, do you think, what are the ways by which you could understand that you are separate from your mind? Right now, our identity is so much merged with the mind that we don't realize that I'm separate from the mind. What can we do as a daily habit or a practice by which we can have more awareness that it's my mind harassing me? Wait, one by one.
While meditating, you try to read your mind and thoughts and try to keep yourself away from the body and thoughts.
Okay, this is a good point. Meditation, you separate yourself from your mind during meditation, which means you separate yourself from your body, your thoughts. So what you could do is, what you are saying is something like this. Whenever you get any thought during meditation, because you are essentially doing a slow, peaceful activity, you could say, this is my mind saying. Like for example, when you're suddenly feeling hungry, you just get up and I'm hungry. Instead of just being impulsive or reactive because of hunger, you could say, right now my mind is demanding food. See what you have done? You have separated yourself from your mind. So any desires, any thoughts you get, if you say, my mind is saying that this fellow is nasty. My mind is saying this person is very good. So you are separating yourself from your mind. So that's a very good point. During meditation, we can do those practices. Yes, Prabhu, you were saying? Observer, excellent. Observe without judgment is the best way you can separate yourself from your mind. What is observation without judgment mean? Observing, but just like a video camera is observing. See, when you are observing something, you are always judging, right? Like if let's say some drama happens here, somebody performs a skit. The video camera is watching it without judgment. But when you are watching it, oh, he's overacting. Oh, this fellow doesn't know how to act. So judgment, we are constantly judging people. Human beings are constantly judging. So if we can spend some time in a day, I'll teach you how to do it also. Some time, not the whole day, because we need to judge, right? We need to be discriminating. We need to save ourselves. We need to be, we need to work. We need to be productive. We need to survive in this world. So we have to judge. But if you spend some time not judging, just being present and observing without judging, you will see that your judgment also improves. And your awareness also improves. So what is the difference between judgment and observation? Okay, I'll give an example. If right now, if I ask, what is the temperature in this room? If some of you say, it's very hot, Prabhuji. This is an observation or judgment? Observation? Judgment, it's not an observation. Because somebody else may say, it's cold. It's very cold, Prabhuji. It's a judgment. What is an observation? 22.5 degrees Celsius. Prabhuji, it is 22.5 degrees Celsius. That is observation. But when you say it is very hot or it is very cold, it is very, very individual and very judgmental. Okay, who is the best cricket batsman? Number one? Virat Kohli. Huh? Okay. So Virat Kohli is a very good cricket player. This statement is an observation or a judgment? Judgment. If I say Virat Kohli has scored 45 centuries, observation. So when you say somebody, when you point out the facts, that is observation. And when you pronounce a verdict on him, that is a judgment. So, I practice observation sometimes when I'm traveling in the taxi. Like if I'm traveling sometimes from South Bombay to Borivali. So it's a 1 hour, sometimes 45 minutes drive. So I have nothing to do. I've completed my japa. So I sit outside and I look from outside the window of the car and I say, okay, now I put an alarm. Next 20 minutes till the alarm goes off, I'm going to practice what? Observation without judgment. Try this sometime. So what happens then, I'll tell you, I'm describing what is going to happen now. So I put the alarm for 15-20 minutes. Observe without judgment. And the time starts now. And then I sit on the seat and I look outside the window. And what do I see? I see in a bike, I saw, recently, I'm just telling about last week. So I saw one young man. It's not a bike, it's a scooter. One lady was riding a scooter and she had her child behind holding the mother like this tightly. Again, I said mother. I don't know if it was a mother. This is judgment. Constantly we are judging. See, it could be anybody, I don't know. I'm just saying, I could have said a lady and a child. But I immediately said mother. Anyway, so this child was holding the lady like this. And the scooter was going next to my taxi. And I looked at them. So I had to now observe without judgment. So I said like this. There's a lady driving the scooter. There's a child holding the mother. This is all internally I'm saying. And then suddenly my mind rushed to an incident which happened 15 years ago when my sister-in-law was riding a scooter and her baby was holding her like this. And they met with an accident and my sister-in-law died on the spot. All that incidents, how the mind rushes. And then that child is now studying in 10th standard and I met that child's friend whose father is a coal miner. And then my mind went to the coal mines of Bihar and from the coal, and in the next 5 minutes, I had traveled all over the planet. And then after 5 minutes, I realized, hey, where am I? I was supposed to observe without judgment. And then I said, you rascal mind, you're constantly, and then that was another judgment. See, the mind comes through the back door. Even if you catch the mind, I caught the mind. Mind is rushing so much. The mind will come through the back door by again judgment. Oh, I'm so fallen. I'm so bad. I cannot practice observation without judgment. That is also mind only speaking. That is not awareness. That is not... Mind is so nasty. So then I said, hey, wait. It's okay. Awareness and acceptance. It's okay. My mind went to everywhere. It's okay. That's okay. Now come back now and observe without judgment. Then I saw children playing. Some children coming from school with the school bags. So again, children are playing, children coming from school. Then some temple bells were ringing. So just observe, just be present. And when the mind will and certainly wander, it will certainly pass judgments, keep coming back to the present moment and observe without judgment. And that helps you remain in the present moment. And this improves our awareness. And then you can see, oh, the mind is saying this. Just like in this example of seeing this lady with the child on the scooter, I could become more aware of my mind passing a judgment so many times. Do you get this example? So you could try this one time, today or tomorrow, anytime you can try and just see the difference it makes to your consciousness. Like once on a plane, I had an aisle seat, and then and I said, let me walk, because it was a international flight and there was very few passengers. So I was just walking, and then I saw one couple, and this man was reading some book, and his wife was constantly shouting at him. So then I felt, let me practice observation without judgment. So I said, this wife is very irritated with the husband. Then I said, wait, but how do I know she's the wife? Again, I don't know. But then I just observed, means just the color of the clothes, the expressions, the contours of the face. Just observe what he's saying, his anger, his expressions. Because sometimes we pass judgment, we don't know. It could not be anger also. We have one brahmachari in our temple. He's always like this. He's an angry, mean look on his face. But he's the most loving devotee I've known. He's always serving, I had a spondylitis once, pain, and I used to always be scared of him. And when he saw I'm in pain, he came to me, he put his hand on my shoulder, he brought some ointment, and for half an hour he massaged me. All the while a frown on his face. So you can be easily misled. If you're judging always, you can be misled. You will not be able to see and experience love when you get love, because you have your prejudiced definition of love. We all have a screwed up definition of love in our head, and if somebody fits into that, we think that person is loving, and if somebody doesn't fit into that definition, we think he's not loving. That is all happening because of our own prejudices and biases and judgments we have formed in our head. Therefore, it is very important to practice observation without judgment, and you will be amazed by how you will find love in this world everywhere. And you will think, Arey, Prabhuji ne to bola tha ki this world is full of suffering. But this world is a great place. That's what happens. Because ultimately it boils down to perception. That's why our Acharyas, Prabodhanand Saraswati says, Vishwam Purna Sukhayate. When I first time heard this verse, I was shocked. Now we know the philosophy, Bhagavad-Gita says this world is a place of suffering, and here is this Vaishnava Acharya who is saying that world is a great blissful place. He is able to say it because he is able to experience the Lord in his heart. So when a person is completely absorbed in Krishna, this world becomes a beautiful place. Then mind doesn't matter. But to reach that stage, we have to begin with observation without judgment. So we are right now discussing about practicing awareness and acceptance. The first step is we could separate our thoughts from ourselves during meditation, or practice observation without judgment. Somebody else raised a hand here. Is there anything else you could do to improve your awareness and acceptance? Beautiful. Be with nature. Means like going on a nature walk, going to a mountains. Now, how many of you have ever been to a forest or a natural setting or a mountain and felt very peaceful? I have a question. Do you know why you feel like that? Why you feel very peaceful when you go to a mountain or a forest? Yes. All of you are right, but this is very, very close. What you said? What is that? Eternity means what? Something which doesn't change. You are saying something? There is a hand here also. It connects with your own self, own nature. See, what happens when you go to a forest or a mountain is this. When I was a child, I used to love to be with my grandparents. My grandfather was very old. He was, I think, 1890 born or something. And he had this radiance, peace. So that, somebody is timeless, you'd feel, oh, this person is timeless. You will feel suddenly peaceful there. Like there is a banyan tree next to our temple. When I sit under that banyan tree, which is apparently 300, 400 years old, you suddenly feel peaceful. Because that tree compared to us has a long life. That mountain, that forest, that ocean side has been there for a long time. And when you go there, you feel peaceful because there is something inside you which also has been there for a long time, which hasn't died, which has always been there. The Vedic scriptures call this as Atma, soul. undying, eternal self. What we are seeing right now is all manifest. This is manifest. This is not permanent. This will end one day. Everything is temporary. But there is something which is eternally existing. So when you go to a mountainside, you feel, peace. Because you don't know why you're feeling peace, but the real I, the soul, has connected with that mountain, which is actually also not permanent. In one sense, one day Himalayan mountain will also be crushed to dust. But there is something which is eternal, which is called as Brahman, unmanifest. In the Vedic scriptures, it is called as something which is always existing. So that's why, some people come to temple. I'll give this. I recently, one devotee came to temple. He comes every Sunday and he comes in the evening and sits in the temple. He just sits like this. I'm just demonstrating. I one day asked him, Prabhu, what is happening to you? He said, I just feel so relieved. Whole week, I'm so frustrated working outside. When I come here and I just sit here, I feel so shelter. And then I realized this place, this temple, last 35 years, every day there is chanting going on in temple. 6 times a day there is offering worship going on. There is so much spiritual energy there. There is something which is happening it's happening forever, spiritual activities. So when somebody enters that space, he also enters that space of eternity. And he feels peaceful. And we live there. Look at the mind, how nasty it is. We live there. And sometimes when we are chanting, the mind is wandering. I saw one of my friends, he was like trying to control the mind. He was like, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna. He was struggling. And I told him, hey, wait, the whole world wants to come here and find peace here. And you are here, which is the destination of the whole world. And you are so agitated. Relax, it's okay, the mind is wandering. Relax. So many times our minds trick us. If we just go to nature, and when you go on a nature walk, when you see the forest or mountains, you feel very peaceful. Because there is some eternity there. There is something which doesn't die. So that is one way to improve our awareness. And then suddenly you feel your problems are insignificant. Any other ways you could improve your awareness and acceptance? Journaling. Oh, that is my favorite. I write journals every day. Thank you for that. Anybody write journals here? Wow. 1, 2, minority, please, but raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very good. So journaling is different from article writing. See, I also write articles, essays, books. So when we write articles, it is to tell the world what we know or what I have, sharing. Journaling is, writing articles is to share what you have inside with the world. But journaling is to discover what is there inside. What is there inside? I don't know. But when you write journals slowly, you will be amazed by things that come out. So many of my seminars have come out. I was writing journals and suddenly, I was also surprised by what lies below the layers and layers of thoughts, ideas, mind, intelligence, ego. There is a real self. Your real I is buried beneath many layers. So journaling is a great way to separate yourself from your mind. And there are some ways of journaling also, which I'll share later. Just, I think, it depends on, the terms you use. Diary writing would be the same as journaling for some. I'm just telling you the concept. You can use it, you can give it any other name. I call it as pen down also. I don't even call it journaling. Because I prefer writing with a pen and paper rather than on the computer. So these are all technical words. You can call it as diary writing if you want. But essentially it is where you write your heart out. Some people write diary. I know one of my friends who writes a diary. Every night before sleeping he says, today I ate breakfast at 10 a.m. He writes in very clean handwriting. 11:30 I met this person. So very clean handwriting, and he has a diary maintained for many years. So that is also good because that helps him rewind and evaluate the day. But there is no awareness. There is awareness there, but it is not as much as it would if you write journals, where you write what is happening now. So when I write journals, like today morning I was writing a journal. I got up a little late. So as I'm writing journal, so I have this question many times: what is happening right now inside? So as you write the answer to that question, right now my mind is saying, why did you get up late? You should have got up early. And I was amazed. As I was about to write the next sentence, my mind had already raced to 5 other thoughts, and I forgot what I was about to write the next sentence. That's how fast the mind is. So then I wrote, my mind is so fast, I don't even remember what I was supposed to write. So the entire 10-minute exercise, it was as if, I'm observing my mind without judging. So observation without judgment is best way to practice that is journaling. And there are 3 questions if you ask while writing journals, you will see that you can separate yourself from your mind and your awareness and acceptance becomes very high. First is, what is happening right now? Right now, as I'm writing this journal, I'm feeling a pain in my lower back. As I'm writing this journal, I'm feeling very thirsty. And my mind is saying, go and drink water. But earlier I just drank, basically you're just observing what is happening inside. That is one question to answer while journaling. What is happening right now? Second is, what is the best experience I had in the last 24 hours and why it was the best or the most intense experience? In the last 24 hours, I had a 6-hour Kirtan program in Borivali yesterday. It was the most satisfying experience. Everybody was chanting. It was very good because I took part in Sankirtan. That is me. I felt very nourished by that. So I'm entering into that space where I'm writing what is it that touched me the most. Or it could be something like, as I was driving to Govardhaniko village, I saw a gruesome accident on the roadside, a body filled with blood. I was completely disturbed. And then you enter deep into it. What happened? Why you got disturbed? Oh, I saw death. I saw the stark reality of this world. So as you're entering deep into that, you are entering an area or a space which you have not explored before of your own personality. So you are connecting to an experience that has disturbed you, that has made you happy, or that has touched you at some level. This is the second question you could ask while journaling. You could call it diary writing also. Name is immaterial. Third is you could write gratitude, which we will come to, gratitude journal, what I am very grateful for. So journaling is a great way to improve awareness and acceptance. Okay? I will share with you 2 techniques also other than all of this. Is there anything else anybody has? Hey, wait. She raised her hand. Let me just take her question.
So interesting. One thing that I used to practice a while ago, and this reminded me of, and it's very fascinating, is so I'd look at my altar and watch my mind, but then intentionally bring in negative thoughts as an experiment, and then again positive ones, and witness how your vision actually changes. Because the edge of a garland where it's the flowers are maybe starting to brown, that will come to the forefront when you're thinking negative thoughts. And then when you switch intentionally and think more positive thoughts about your recent 24 hours, the beauty of the garland actually comes to the forefront in your vision. And I haven't done it in a long time, so thank you.
I generally don't recommend this because I'm not a professional therapist, because I'm scared of if somebody dives into negativity a lot and then I'm not able to handle that. Yeah. So that's why I generally encourage people to end their journaling or end their meditation always on a positive note and try to focus only on the positive side, because this requires a lot of maturity and practice. So fine, I'm happy you are doing it, but I tried it, but it's not so easy. Sometimes journaling, you can write down all your frustrations also. And then in the end, after you write the whole thing, you'll feel a sense of release. And then you can burn that paper, or you can tear it off. Or you could read it out loud. My request is, even if you write all negativity on your paper, you end it with some positive hope. That's very important. Otherwise, if you're being guided by a professional therapist, then you could write only negativity. But because most of us are not professionals, no, we don't recommend that. Thank you.
Yes, I would always do some positive at
Good,
the end.
good.
I do 2 minutes of negative and then more positive, just to say.
Thank you.
Anyway, I wasn't. Okay.
Yes, Mataji, you are also saying something? Of course. Just one second. Yeah? Of course. 100%. We do yoga. I did yoga today. We do yoga. Yoga helps because in yoga, what do you do? Sukham Stairyam Asanam. You have to focus on your inhaling and exhaling breath. You have to focus on your breath. So you slow down. Your body slows down. Your mind slows down. Mindfulness. Something else? I saw some other hand.
Chanting, in fact, it's for a very short time, but when you're chanting, you're focusing your mind on the beats or something and just do chanting, so it's not judging actually. So
Yeah.
it's for a very short time, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes
Correct.
of time.
Correct.
So then you don't judge or think because you know you have to focus there. So
Correct.
that time you're completely cut off.
Correct. Yes. Chanting, yoga, all of them can improve your awareness and acceptance.
Praying also, just praying, simply looking at God and
Just being there. Just being. Because when you are just present with the Lord, you are in that sacred space. So that also improves our awareness and acceptance. Calm down your thoughts.
Yeah, it's okay. So I was putting my thoughts in one, to calm myself. But she said, no, you're not able to do it. I think she's a yoga practitioner also, I don't know. Then I started chanting. Hey, she said, what you did? All the thoughts came down. She said like that. Means I feel that when we chant properly, we can control the mind. I don't know.
I'm happy you said that word, when we chant properly. That is very important there. Otherwise, chanting can also become a ritual, a mindless ritual. And then you will see that despite chanting, and the goal of chanting is anyway not peace of mind. The goal of chanting is to love the Lord. It is like, chanting is like your private time with your most beloved companion or lover or spouse or husband or wife. So when you are with your most beloved person, you, in a conversation, when you are with somebody you really love, you are not all the time talking. You are also listening, right? If in a relationship you say that I love my husband or I love my wife or whatever, I love this person so much that for 2 hours every day I only talk. And then that relationship has no future. You have to also listen, right? In a relationship. So chanting can help us improve awareness only if in chanting we also spend time listening to the holy name. Hare Krishna. When we chant Hare Krishna, if we are listening to the sound, that means we are actually listening to Krishna. And then in between, when you offer your emotions, Krishna, please help me. So that is, you are talking to Krishna. But chanting is not only about praying, not only about talking to Krishna. Chanting is also about listening to Krishna. And then when you listen to Krishna, it's not always peaceful. Just like, when you listen to your lover who really loves you, she's not always going to say, I love you. She's also going to give you sauce. Relationship mein wahi hota hai na. So, chanting is all about bhakti yoga. It's about a personal relationship with the Lord whom we love the most. And our beloved Lord, mercifully, out of His great compassion and love on us, is also going to improve our awareness by revealing to us what is there inside us which we may not want to accept. Therefore, awareness is a gift of chanting, but acceptance is our choice. You have to choose, okay, this is what is there, Krishna, I accept it. We are expecting chanting to do miracles. That is the problem. Are you getting what I'm saying? I'll give an example. I had a friend. I came with him here to GEV. We had come with a small yatra. And I remember this is where exactly we did a seminar. And after this, we packed up our bags. I had brought, that time I'm talking about 10 years, 11 years back. We didn't have so many facilities. So we had brought our own sound system, microphone, speaker. So we had 3 cars going from here back to Mumbai. And the speaker and this mic was from our temple. And I had mistakenly put it in his car. And my car went first. And I landed up in Borivali first because we have a school there where I stay. So as I was writing, I opened my laptop and I realized, the mic and sound system is in his car. So I called him. I said, Prabhu, the mic is in your car, so can you drop in to the school first and give me the sound system and then go to your house? He said, yes, Prabhuji. And he kept the phone, he forgot to disconnect. And I was speaking on the speaker phone, and I also forgot to disconnect. I kept the phone next to me and I continued writing on my laptop. And then suddenly, his wife and he began talking. And he had kept the phone in front of him when he was driving. And she started blasting him. Now you will go and sit with Prabhuji in the school and I will be sitting in the car and he will not anyway talk to me. And she started shouting at him. And I was like, I knew this is wrong. I'm not supposed to be eavesdropping like this. But that conversation was too exciting for me to disconnect. I said, she's so gracious and so nice in front of me. And she's shouting, yelling at him. And he's all the time, he's not saying anything. And she's saying, and you go for 2 minutes, but you spend 1 hour with Prabhuji, and we have to go home, and there is a maid about to come, and there's so much cleaning to be done, and you never care about me, and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, wow. So then after a few minutes, I felt guilty. I felt this is wrong. I'm doing something wrong. So then very prayerfully, I disconnected. And then after a few minutes, his car came. So he brought the sound system, mic, everything. Now, I know this boy very well because when he was in school, I've been preaching to him since then. So I knew how we fell in love with this lady. And, I was involved in their lives. So after 7 or 8 years of struggle, they eventually got married. So they're basically having a very close relationship. It's not that, they're good. They're very good friends and very, very close to each other. So when he came with the sound system, mic, everything, he came to my room, Prabhuji, I'm keeping it here. Okay, I'm going. I said, wait, relax. Let us sit for some time. He said, no, Prabhuji, I have to go. The maid is coming. I said, maid will come. You relax. I want to talk to you. Prabhuji, you were so restless. So I said, sit. So I said, Prabhu, I overheard your conversation. He said, what? You heard what she was telling me? I said, yes, I heard everything. And then I said, kya jhaapti hai yaar tere ko? I said, how much she's chastising you? So he said, Prabhuji, that was not even a trailer, what you heard. So we laughed over it. Then I said, you go now. We'll meet again next week. So next week when he came, he was a little cool. I was cool. I said, I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have heard your talking to your wife. But, I can see that you both have deep love and bonding with each other. And then he said something interesting. He said, Prabhu, actually it's true, Prabhu. We really love each other. And I'm very grateful to Krishna that I have her as my wife. And then he said, but Prabhu, now I have accepted that love is not simply, love has this aspect also. I can't say that just because she loves me, I have to accept the other side of the coin also. And she's saying it, and she's not wrong actually. Then he started explaining the whole thing. He said, so this is package of life. So then I said, Prabhu, this is exactly a relationship with Krishna. We want Krishna to only give us happiness. When we are chanting Hare Krishna, we are listening to the holy name. We think Krishna will only will whisper sweet nothings in my ear. Krishna will also say, Prabhu, you are a rascal. Hare Krishna. Prabhu, what do you think of yourself? Hare Krishna. No, I'm Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So there comes a time when this Krishna gives us this gift of awareness because we are chanting. And when Krishna gives us this gift of awareness, it is our choice to practice. Krishna, I accept I am not sincere. I accept I have been wrong. That is our gift to Krishna. When we accept. So therefore chanting is not as simple. It is a simple activity. Externally is simple. But internally it is a very deep spiritual meditation. So it is not simply about awareness and acceptance. It takes us. It's an activity on the platform of love. But mind management is all about, we are talking, mind management, chanting is about, there are 3 levels, okay? One is the level of simply gratification, enjoyment in this world. Where in this world there is all suffering and enjoyment. There are many people who don't want all this. They want to practice spirituality. That is the second level where they do meditation and all that. But there is something higher than that, where even the meditation goes to the next level, where there is a personal relationship with God, where a person doesn't mind even suffering for God. There he doesn't talk about happiness. There he doesn't talk about mind management. So we are not giving chanting as it's not a chanting seminar, but chanting as a byproduct will give us peace of mind. Yes, Mataji.
What I said was without judging.
Yes, exactly.
Observe without judging. So chanting is I'm not judging.
Correct.
My mind is at rest.
Correct. Receiving, exactly. Not judging. That's perfect. That's exactly how you chant. And when you do that, if you do that sincerely, you will find peace of mind, but slowly you will hear Krishna's voice. And that's when the churning will happen. Because Krishna is an amazing lover. Krishna will make you feel very loved, but will also give you, he'll also give you that sauce, as we say. So, and the very nice statement Mataji made about, what he said, it's about receive. See, one of the biggest misconceptions we have when we come to spiritual life is that I want to achieve mind control. And many people say, Prabhuji, how to control mind? How to achieve peace of mind? How to achieve? I tell them, forget everything. It's not about achieve. It's about receive. From childhood, we have been trained to achieve. I want to get this. I want to get that. But bhakti is not about achieve. Bhakti is about receive. And for receiving, we have to be aware and more present. So many of you have shared many things. I would just like to share one technique about improving awareness. So all of you will have to be attentive for it. You'll have to sit straight. Okay? And I have a bell with me. I'm going to ring this bell. When I ring this bell, you'll start this exercise. And when I ring this bell again, you will stop. So what is the exercise? Now, sit straight, but not stiff. You know what is stiff? Don't sit like this. Don't be harsh. Sit with grace. If you have to sit with grace, so you could even sit. You don't have to sit straight. What I'm saying is, you sit with grace, where you are comfortable and you feel you are at peace. Okay, at ease. And now you will inhale to the count of 4. When I ring the bell, you will inhale to the count of 4, and each one of you will do it on your own. That's not going to be common breathing. You will inhale to the count of 4 slowly, and you'll hold it for a couple of seconds, and then exhale to the count of 4. And as you are doing it, you will not inhale or exhale with force. It's not like no, it's so soft that you have to focus on hearing the sound of the breath. And nobody else can hear it, only you can hear it. It's very soft. Is that clear? So you will do it only for 2 minutes, but you will see a big difference that happens to you. Now I have a question to all of you. When you inhale, if you know the answer, raise your hand. Okay, I'll ask this question. When you inhale, what happens to your stomach? Does it go in or does it come out? I heard in. Somebody said out. In, right? Out, in, out. Can you imagine we human beings don't know how to breathe? We have divided opinions. We think when inhaling, some of us feel it is going in. Animals are better than us. So just let us do this for just 5 seconds. Put your hand on your stomach and slowly inhale. What happened to your stomach? Again, I heard in and out. Yes. Yeah. I'm talking about relaxed breathing. Relaxed breathing, if you're relaxed breathing. Okay, when you're sleeping at night, just put your hand on your stomach and just go to sleep, relax, and you will see your stomach coming out when you're inhaling. It's natural, right? And when you exhale, the stomach goes in. It's natural. But we human beings are so disconnected from ourselves that because of our fast-paced life, constantly are moving, running. Where we are running, kahan bhag rahe hain, kyun bhag rahe hain, pata nahi. So we have forgotten how to breathe also. So this exercise, this will do is, you just sit comfortably and you will do what? Breathing for how many seconds? How many breaths? 4 breaths. It's like this. I'll just demonstrate. Hold. Exhale. So as I did this, I was trying to listen to my own inhaling and exhaling breath. Is that clear? We can do it. It's very easy. And your mind will go everywhere. It's okay. But you're not bothered about the mind. You're focusing on what? the breath, the sound of the breath. Okay, and this is not pranayam. This is not yoga. For pranayam, you can consult our YTTC course or Ramdev Baba. Because pranayam, when people hear the word pranayam, they get scared. They ask, oh, there are a lot of side effects of pranayam and all that, right? If you're not trained, if you're not doing it under proper training, pranayam can cause problems. So I give a very important clarification right in the beginning. This is nothing to do with pranayam. This is simply breathing, which even animals know how to do. So we are doing breathing. This is called conscious breathing. And you don't need to be a yoga expert for this. Anybody can do conscious breathing anywhere you can do. Okay, we'll start. Stop. Please slowly come back to external consciousness. You can open your eyes. How many of you felt sleepy? Neend aa gaya kisi ko? Don't feel shy. Even I feel sleepy many times when I do this. Good. So what you got is, when you get older, many of us will suffer from insomnia. You don't get sleep. So now you know a great technique by which you can get good sleep. And in the daytime, when you try this 2-minute, 3-minute of break that you take, breathing break, this acts as a power nap also. It surcharges you, it reinvigorates you. You feel very fresh. Just like you go to the washroom to clean off things from your body, when you take this kind of break, a lot of clutter and kachra goes out. So we are so particular about cleaning our body. We should also be particular about cleaning our mind. And this is a harmless exercise. You don't need any professional expertise. You don't need to pay thousands of rupees for a course. And this is now you may say, this is not some speculation. This is based on a lot of scientific data. I don't have time, but if you are more interested, you can read a book by Daniel Levitman, Organized Mind. The book is very disorganized, but the book is called Organized Mind. It's a good book. He's a scientist, neuroscientist. And when I read that book, he doesn't talk about breathing, but when I read that book, I got convinced about what I am doing. I used to always do this, breathing breaks, but I couldn't explain it scientifically. Now, I'm convinced of explaining it scientifically because this book revealed a lot of things about what happens in the mind. Especially modern times, we are living at an age when we are forced to do a lot of multitasking. And actually in the human society, only 1 person in million can be a multitasker. Most people cannot do multitasking and still be effective. But we are forced to do multitasking. So therefore, this breathing break acts as a good balancing thing. Because you are compelled to do multitasking, and that sucks away. Because there is nothing called multitasking. Do you know that? For most of us. I'm not talking about 1 in a million. For most people, multitasking is not existing. We think it is multitasking, but what we're actually doing is, we are jumping from one activity to another activity rapidly. So our attention is fractured. It is not on one thing. And that depletes the glucose from the brain. And it makes you exhausted. And that's what many people have, decision fatigue. Modern society, there are people who lead a very good life from morning to afternoon, evening. They're able to take very good decisions. They're able to be very effective. But they experience so much decision fatigue that by the end of the evening, they land up getting so exhausted that they betray their own character and values, and they land up doing things which their own value system betrays. Some of them have extremely bad habits, or they may have a promiscuous lifestyle, and they may do horrible things. Actually, they're harmless. It's just that the intensity of the day, modern society is all about intensity. But I always say this, intensity without sensitivity will lead to insanity. So we become insane because we're not sensitive with ourselves. So can you try this breathing break? Now, if you ask me how many times do you think we should do this? It's like asking how many times should you drink water? How many times should you drink water? When you feel thirsty. In a day, at least you drink 6 or 7 cups of water. So similarly, whenever you're tired or whenever you're intensely working, now, you know what will happen after this session? I go back to my room. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sit, put an alarm for 3 minutes, take a breathing break. Because you carry, and you're always influenced by your surroundings. You carry the energies always. And you get disconnected from your own self. Like I have my own goals, my vision, my values, my mission. I have certain, and you get, you're thrown off track, right? But so when you do breathing, you just come back on track. Is that okay? So you can try this to improve your awareness and acceptance. Now I also share one technique to improve your culture of gratitude and appreciation. We'll do that very shortly. We'll take one question. Yes, Mataji? Okay. Please. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Perfect. My niece, she is 23 or 24, so she had some lot of issues about marriage and all that. My sister's daughter. So I was consoling her, trying to help her. And at one point of time, when you're involved and trying to help, you get emotional, right? So I was shouting at her, I was scolding her. And then she said, Mama, you just breathe. I said, wow. She reminded me, she said, just breathe. So this has become her catchphrase now. So whenever we talk and whenever I get animated, she says, breathe, just breathe. That's like a reminder. So you can put it on your table or your mobile phone, just breathe. Because we are human beings, we are supposed to be breathing all the time normally, but we are so disconnected. That's why, we have become human doing. We are supposed to be human being. But we don't know how to be. We are always doing. So it's nice. I'm happy you shared this. Medically, it has amazing benefits. And you will yourself experience it. You don't need anybody's certificate. Just sit down. All the kachra gets out. Right? So there are many other techniques. I also have a needs and feelings card. We don't have time for it. But let's see. We'll come back to awareness and acceptance a little later. But I want to touch upon gratitude and appreciation now, which is like the magic mantra for a deeply fulfilling life. I'm not saying happy life. We will be happy sometimes, we will not be happy. Kabhi kushi, mostly gum. Kabhi kushi, mostly gum, right? Because this world is full of suffering. I would like to, before we enter gratitude and appreciation, I would like to tell one story from Bangladesh. This is a folk tale. Every country, every region has its own folk tales. Lok Katha. So Bangladesh, there is a nice folk tale that there was one rich man in whose house worked a simple poor lady who was a maid servant. She used to clean the house. And she was so poor that she lived in a hut and she used to sleep on the floor. But when she was working for this rich man, her master had a very big bedroom and a very soft bed. So when she would sometimes clean, she would touch the soft bed and she would feel, wow, how it must be, to sleep on this. She would think like that. But then she didn't have the guts to sit on that or sleep on it because she was simply a servant. So one day, our master had gone out for some work. And she saw there's nobody at home. Wow, I can try. So she went to the room and she sat on the bed. She felt, wow, this is so nice. And then she slept. Wow, this is so good. Because she was used to only sleeping on the hard floor. And then because first time she was sleeping on such a soft cushion and soft bed, she closed her eyes and suddenly she got sleep. And after a long time actually, she went off to sleep. The master came inside and he was saying, my house is not locked. And then he saw his maid servant sleeping on his bed. He shouted, you low-class, uncouth, wretched woman, how dare you sleep on my bed? And he took a big whip and started beating her. And he said, how dare? She said, sorry, my dear master, sorry. He said, how dare you do this? Do you know your awqad, they say, no, awqad. Awqad mein rehna chahiye. And he started beating her. And she started crying, wailing. And then suddenly, she just stopped. And she said, a smile came on her face. And she started laughing. She started laughing loudly, uncontrollably. For this master was shocked. He said, I was beating you and suddenly you're laughing. Why? She said, no, my dear master, I'm so grateful to the Lord. I got such a beautiful realization. You can beat me, you can do what you want, but I'm very peaceful. He said, what happened? Tell me, what realization you got? She said, no, I just slept for a few minutes on this bed and I got so much suffering. You are sleeping every day on this bed. How much you must be suffering? So this is the folk tale from Bangladesh, which says that, some things which give us pleasure, in every pleasure is pregnant with suffering. Every pleasure is a seed of suffering is there. That is the law of this world. Bhagavad-Gita says that. So there is suffering. And awareness and acceptance will only make us peaceful. From negativity, it will bring us to zero. But we have to go to positive, spiritual happiness. And that spiritual happiness comes from gratitude and appreciation. So now we are going to do an exercise on gratitude and appreciation. And this is going to be, we are going to do 3 rounds. So this is a very simple and extremely powerful exercise. Whenever I have done it, people have received tremendous benefits from this. So you need a partner. You need one more person with you. So there will be 2 people. So if you have to choose a partner now. And when you are ready, we'll start the exercise. So A and B. One of you will be A, the other will be B. Okay? All of you know who is A, who is B, right? Done? Everybody is ready? A and B. Okay? So one of you is A. All A's. Okay. All B's. Okay. Now this is, we are going to learn how to practice gratitude and appreciation at 3 levels. How to take it from material to highly spiritual level. And if you practice this daily, you will see how this world and its problems and your mind doesn't matter to you anymore. Okay, the first level of gratitude and appreciation is, now first for 2 minutes, A will tell B. Okay, so I'll first tell you what are the rules of the game. At first round, we are going to thank some person. You are going to appreciate some person who has deeply influenced your life to the other person. Now, I'll give you 1 minute to share. Like, for example, if I were to do this exercise, and if you are sitting in front of me, as I would tell you like this, there is a friend of mine, his name is Jigar. He's so nice. I love him so much that when my mother was sick, he dropped everything and he came and stayed with me in my village. And he did so much for my mom. I'm so grateful to him. So this is what I would speak for 1 minute. About how he deeply influenced me and how I'm so grateful to him. Is this clear? So similarly, I'm sure all of us have been touched by somebody in our life, right? It could be our mother, it could be anybody, it could be even a politician, it could be anybody. Somebody who has deeply touched you, somebody to whom you are extremely grateful. Is that okay? It could be a devotee. Now keep out your Guru and Krishna, because generally Guru and Krishna were always grateful. God and spiritual masters were always grateful. I'm talking about somebody whom you are living with or whom you know. Is that okay? Guru and Krishna will always thank. That we should always do that. But I want you to connect with another human being today. Is that okay? Can you do it? So now A will tell B about this person who has deeply influenced you. The time starts now. Hare Krishna. Okay, now change roles. I'm sorry, B will speak to A now. Is that okay? 1 minute is enough, na? B can tell A now. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I know this is so tempting. You can go on and on and on. Because this is very nourishing. Honestly, how easy it is for us when we live in this world to criticize others. But we find no taste in it. We find no fulfillment in it. But when we appreciate someone, and especially behind the person's back, generally we may glorify a person in front of him. But you get actual lot of nourishment when you actually appreciate him behind his back also. So this is the first round we did. What we have done just now is we have touched our own lives some very deeply, some things that have moved us, and we are expressing gratitude. But this is the first level of gratitude and appreciation, where the center is I. Although I'm thanking another person, although I'm appreciating another person, that appreciation is because of what I got, which is good, which is very healthy. That's how we evolve. That's how we become purified. But do you know something? The world is much bigger than me. I. Remember, we began by saying, if I die today, nothing will happen to this world, right? So if you want to experience deeper level of fulfillment through appreciation, now think of that same person you appreciated, okay? In that exercise which you just now did. And the second round, you are going to appreciate that same person to your partner, but you will appreciate him for something he does or did or is doing which has nothing to do with you. I'll repeat. Imagine you are not there on this planet. Imagine you were not born. Imagine you didn't exist. Then how will you appreciate him? The same person. Are you getting what I'm saying? Remember, I gave an example of somebody. Remember, I gave an example as a jigger. So I'll now, if I had to do the second round, you know how I will appreciate him? No, Jigar is a very special devotee because, you know, his mother is quite elderly and she cooks for him and she prepares dabba for him every day. He goes to office, he works so hard, but he's so sensitive that every Saturday, Sunday, he cooks for his mother because he says that, Mom, you are working hard the whole week, but Saturday, Sunday is my turn. So he massages his mother's feet, he cooks for her, he treats her like a queen. And he takes her out for dinner sometimes. As I says, my mother is my date for today. So he's so loving and caring. So what I've done now, was there me in this appreciation? So the same person I'm appreciating. But you see what I have done? I am now entering a much bigger space. Is everybody there? This may be difficult for many of us. It's okay, but just try. And eventually you'll reach, by practice, you will see how your spiritual consciousness and spiritual advancement happens. Can we try this? Even if it is difficult, try it. Okay? So A will start first. Start telling B. Okay? Hare Krishna. Okay, reverse the roles. B will tell A now. Start. Thank you. Hare Krishna. You like this exercise? What is the difference you noticed in the first round and the second round? Why? Why do you think it was better? Yeah, it was. Yeah. You see, there is so much happiness and fulfillment when we move beyond I. Yeah. 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 You actually become self. You know, it's easy to say we should become selfless, but this is the beginning. And when that person comes in front of you, he can perceive that energy. He'll say, this person is genuinely non-envious. Generally, we flatter, people. Flattery is the beginning of abuse. There's a Japanese proverb which says, what you speak, there are certain things about a person, we generally we don't appreciate a person behind his back. In front of him, we may appreciate. Behind him, we don't. And even if we do appreciate behind the back, it's all about me. But this is a game changer, what you just now did. Because there are, and generally what happens, behind a person's back, we say many things which we will not say in front of him. And in front of a person, we say many things which we will not say behind his back. But you try this and you will see Krishna consciousness, spiritual life is a reality. Spiritual life is not something abstract. Okay, the third round is very interesting. We will now not do it separately, we'll do it as a team. Both of you will do it as a team. And both of you will have to appreciate at the third level where it is not about you also. Okay, now you have to understand this. Now now you remember what your partner told you, hopefully. And right? And you obviously know what you spoke about. So now what you have to do is you have to take these two personalities and understand when you're appreciating them, what was the quality? What was the principle in play? There are some principles which are eternal, which always play. And when we live by those principles, our lives are fulfilled. So when now you can help your partner and your partner can help you. You can combinedly, on both the examples or any example, look for some principle that came out. And then you define that, you mention that principle, and then you see how that principle was also practiced by some great personality before. Like it could be Krishna, it could be Lord Ram, it could be Srila Prabhupada, it could be your guru, it could be some other devotee, it could be some great national leader, it could be a freedom fighter, it could be somebody beyond us, you and me. Is it clear? So this is what happens when we do this third round. You are entering the space of God. You are entering the space of divinity. You are actually entering a spiritual space of appreciation. I'll give you the same example. What is the example I gave? Jigar. So if I was playing this game with you, if you are my partner, and if we zoom into Jigar's case, we would come to the conclusion that the principle in play here is this person, he has got love for his mother. So the principle here is Matra Bhakt, or this is just Sanskrit word, you could give it an English term also. So Matra Bhakt. So who are the famous personalities who are devotees of their mother or who have served their mother? Shravan Kumar. So then, a lot of churning can happen now for 1 minute. And you will feel even 5 minutes will be less. I remember when I did this exercise with another friend of mine, then we spoke about so many examples. How Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Matra Bhakta Shiromani. How Prabhupada dedicated his book to his father. How basically we discussed about so many examples of personalities who actually served their mother. So what is happening in this exercise, in this round is, you are connecting that friend of yours to a principle, and you're connecting that principle to Lord, so then your appreciation becomes spiritual. And then you will become non-envious. And the most important qualification to experience God in your life is to become free from envy. And we can become free from envy only when we can appreciate. And when we can see God in that. And when we see God, our consciousness becomes all embracive. It becomes Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The whole world becomes a family. Is this clear? Can we do this? So both of you have to do it together. It could be either the example or both examples, whichever you're comfortable. Okay? Wherever you can find a principle, grab it and zoom into it. Your time starts now. Okay, we'll stop now. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you. So, anybody would like to share some principle that came out? Yes, Mataji. Okay, the value systems, okay. Correct. Oh, beautiful.
I thought that Lord
Beautiful.
Shiva helped Sati, saying that don't go to your fathers for sacrifice
Great.
because you will end up getting hurt.
Great.
So I was just
Great example. See, I'll tell you what will happen. Next time you have an altercation with your husband and something happens, because you actually entered that space of not only appreciating him for what he has done to you, appreciating his own quality, and then seeing the bigger picture, you will be able to see divinity. When I see Jigar many times, when I see Jigar, I know I am grateful to him because what he has done for my mother, for me. I am grateful to him because what he is doing for his own mother. And I'm also grateful to him because he reminds me of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He reminds me of Prabhupada. So that is spiritual. So your husband will remind you of Lord Shiva. So that's how we become spiritual. That's how we see Krishna in everybody and everything. That is the meaning of being Krishna conscious.
This is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Prabhuji.
Anybody else would like to share? Yes, Prabhuji. So these three principles came out: service, love, and sacrifice. Any examples you got other than the person you are thinking of for these principles?
Actually, I shared with my son. Actually, during my pregnancy time of my wife, her brother-in-law come in the picture, and he helped me a lot coming all the way.
Okay.
So I told him ki first I appreciate him and what he did to us and what he was doing for others, my brother-in-law. And I correlate with the same is just like a Ramayana. The Hanumanji come in the picture and took out the Sanjeevani. So I told him that he act as just like a Hanuman. He came to.
Dekho na.
Yeah.
Now when you see your brother-in-law, you'll remember Hanumanji. So this is divinity. This is how it becomes spiritual.
Yeah.
This is how we can make there are people, trust me, you may not believe it, there are people who are able to see divinity even in people who have harmed them. We can't artificially do that. I'm not advocating you do that. I'm just saying there are people who are so advanced in spiritual consciousness that they're able to see even people who have harmed them in that consciousness. So this is extremely powerful. Thank you. Any one more example anybody would like to share? Any other Matajis? Nobody? Okay, one principle, like just before you say, Prabhu, you share, but before you share, Mataji said something about selflessness. So the principle that came out was a selflessness. Any Shastric example?
Yeah, we came up with many, but Mother Teresa.
Okay.
So that one name came in, and lot of our freedom fighters. And what we came to a conclusion that all these people were above caste, creed, religion, male, female. They were above all of this. They just helped and tried to make the world a better place. So this is what we came
Thank
to a
you.
conclusion.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Guru.
Yes, one last example we'll take from here.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji spoke about his teacher when he was young in the 9th grade. The teacher taught mathematics for him because outside of the school also she was giving more papers and teaching him. So he was always grateful for that. He always remembered her help. And then second step we spoke on how the teacher is doing that for everybody, not just for him. The act of teaching and sharing the knowledge. So then we connected that to Prabhupada, how Prabhupada at the age of 70 went all the way to America, and then he gave the knowledge of Bhagavad-Gita and Bhagavatam to the whole world.
Beautiful.
And then that like people bring it to knowledge of Krishna.
Correct.
So that act of
This is
sharing knowledge.
Beautiful. This is Krishna consciousness. So you are connecting the incidents of this world, experiences of this world to Krishna, to Prabhupada, to Guru. Thank you. Beautiful. So I'm sure all of you definitely benefited from this. And if you're feeling a little uncomfortable, I'll tell you one experience. Once I did this workshop on 31st of December, and I was telling the participants that now in this entire year, whoever has helped you, you write it down for 5 minutes, journal. So one of the boys I know very well, he said, Prabhuji, I have the whole year has gone in cynicism. Cynicism means I have felt nobody is reciprocating with me. I have helped so many people. And I find it very difficult to do. I can't do this exercise now. And rest of the other people who did that, generally when I give journal writing exercise, first round, nobody is able to write. They are just looking here and there. But when I gave this exercise, they were like struggling. But once they started writing, they didn't stop. I was ringing the bell, but they wouldn't stop because that experience of gratitude is so fulfilling. And this same boy called me after 2 weeks and he said, Prabhuji, I tried this at home. Today I was a little free and initially it was difficult, but now for last 1 hour I am writing and I have entered that space of gratitude. So this is extremely nourishing. We are living in a world where constantly there is criticism going on. You open any news channel, news thrives on negativity. They have changed the risk maps in your head. You are afraid. A young girl, she may have more danger to her life in crossing the road than being molested by a stranger on the streets. But the fear, the risk map in her head is, she's not afraid of a car hitting her on the road, but that could be a real danger. So we have got wrong risk maps. Small issues are blown out. And sometimes non-issues are presented and real issues are not highlighted. It's crazy. So negativity. So you start practicing this, you will feel very nourished. There is so much more we could discuss, but we're running out of time. So I'll just conclude. What is the foundation of mind management? What is the center of the triangle? Humility and self-effacing, which means I am not significant. And what are the other 3 sides of this triangle? What is the first one? Awareness and acceptance. And how could we practice awareness and acceptance? What is the exercise we did today? Breathing, conscious breathing. Next time we will do journal writing. And how we could, the types of journal writing also we will study. Second part of this triangle is appreciation and gratitude. And what are the different levels of gratitude? What is the first level of gratitude? I, self. Second level of gratitude? He, the other person. And third is Krishna, God. Okay. And what is the third part of this triangle? Aspiration to serve. So these are the 3 principles we discussed, and I hope with these principles as integral part of our life, we'll be able to live with our minds. You'll not be able to control your mind. And my agenda of today's presentation is not to help you control your mind. And I have not controlled my mind also. But we want to be not controllers of mind, we want to be more aware of our mind. Is that okay? I want to thank all of you for your kind attention. Hare Krishna.